to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our college football game of the week preview between the North Carolina Tar Heels and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with North Carolina.
When you look at the Tar Heels in this matchup, offensively speaking, they have to find the balance in their running game. They have to be able to run the football versus Georgia Tech. You can't just air it out versus that Georgia Tech defense. They do have the ability to get after the quarterback, and you want to protect Brent Brenner in the pocket, so you have to find the balance in the running game. Now, defensively, they've had 2 weeks to prepare for the option attack, and 2 things they must do in order to have some success. You look at the defensive line, defensive ends Kareem Martin and Norkeith Otis. They're going to have to contain while you look at the D tackles to make the plays, like Ethan Farmer and Tim Jackson, and they can't give up inside release to the wide receivers. Otherwise, Georgia Tech can have a field day throwing the football. Now let's move over to Georgia Tech in this ball game, and they're a dictation type of offense. They dictate what you do defensively, and when quarterback Vad Lee came into the fold and his ability to throw the football, it just opens up that offense as a whole. Those wide receivers have to maximize, and on defense, they got to get that front side pressure on Brent Renner. A lot of times they could find themselves getting batted passes at the line of scrimmage, which could result in the interceptions and continue to make the Tar Heels one-dimensional. They may end up doing that themselves by not running the football as much, but you want to ensure that by stopping the run and putting them in second and long and third and long situations. The X factor for the Tar Heels will be their running game. Can those running backs get it going? There's talent in the backfield led by A.J. Blue, but they have to be a factor in order to ease that pressure off of Brent Renner in the passing attack. The X factor for the Yellow Jackets will be cornerback Jamea Thomas. I'm pretty sure he's going to be matched up versus Quinshad Davis, the outstanding receiver for North Carolina, and Thomas is one of the best cornerbacks in the ACC. Should be a classic matchup this weekend. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For North Carolina, you want to play assignment football. Anytime we preview a Georgia Tech game, that's mission number 1. You have to know your assignments. Don't try to be a hero. Do what you're supposed to do. Otherwise, it can result into a big play if you're out of position. And you want to move the guards in the running game. If you're struggling to run the football, get creative in your rushing attack. Put those guards on the move in those pulls and traps, and that way you can have some success. And first and foremost, you have to stop the run versus Georgia Tech. You want to make this a Vad Lee versus Brent Renner type game. Stop the run, force those guys to throw the football. It breaks them out of their tendencies. And for Georgia Tech in this ball game, Vad Lee's pre-snap mastery will be key. He's going to have to get out of some bad plays depending on the different fronts and coverages he sees pre-snap from North Carolina. And you want to show multiple looks defensively. You want to keep Brent Renner holding that football so that way Jeremiah Attitude can get back there and cause disruption. And in the secondary, they're going to have to win those individual battles that's going to go on all throughout the game. North Carolina will try to test the secondary of Georgia Tech. Those cornerbacks have to come up big in order for these guys to have some success. Now here are some 2014 draft prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ball game. North Carolina has 3 good guys that are elite level type talents in Brent Renner, the quarterback, 6'3", 215. Left tackle James Hurst, you saw what he was able to do week 1 versus Jadeveon Clowney, 6'7", 305 pounds. And defensive end Kareem Martin is one of the more solid defensive ends you'll find. Not flashy, but never will be out of position. And for Georgia Tech, Jeremiah Attitude, 6'3", 240, can be an outside edge rusher in the 3-4 defense or Sam in the 4-3. And I also like the guard Will Jackson, 6'3", 290 pounds, was a former freshman All-American. Kelvin Bryant was a 3-time first-team All-ACC performer from 1979 to 1982 and once scored 6 touchdowns in a game versus East Carolina back in 1981 and still holds the NCAA record for most touchdowns scored in 2 and 3 consecutive game stretches with 11 and 15, and also posted 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons and wrapped up his Tar Heel career with over 3,200 yards rushing. Linebacker Pat Swilling consistently stung opponents each and every ball game, finished his career as the all-time leading sack leader at Georgia Tech, which he now ranks 5th, and also finished with 15 sacks in 1 season and also had 7 sacks in a game versus North Carolina State and was a first-team All-American consensus in 1985. I like Georgia Tech in this ballgame. A lot of people are not giving that defense credit, and also offensively, despite the option attack, now you have the ability to throw the football with Vad Lee. This is a dangerous football team moving forward, and I like them to win this ball game versus North Carolina.